Hello, Scorpio. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. And a really big thank you to all of you who followed me over here. I love you guys. All right, Scorp, so before I get started, just to remind everybody, I read from Sun, Moon, and Rising, but feel free to apply this message to wherever Scorpio is in your chart. And please make sure that you're only taking in the messages that resonate with you. Let me fix the viewfinder here. Sorry, guys. Okay. So Scorpio, this time you pulled Eternal Youth, Celebration, and Anger and Chains. I'm going to go through the cards and then I'll get into how I'm feeling about this. So first of all, Eternal Youth. The blessing here talks about how you will be rejuvenated and filled with energy and potential. You will look and feel very well and your health will be vital. You will be very attractive and people will be drawn to your youthful free spirit and optimism. And I want you to think back to the last time that you've been optimistic about celebrating your life. Because I think that this is what this is pointing to, you know, besides the fact that you're breaking away from something. Now, I do think that Anger and Chains is connected to the curse with this one, but we'll get there. Working with this card, I think, is important, though. It talks about exploring the blessings of the body and the mind. And it's time to discover what your body can do and to instigate a transformation. So for some of you, this is getting back in touch with the youthful part of yourself that didn't have to worry about like aches and pains and things like that. It talks about the health of the body, which is important. But this is the part that I think is what is worth this celebration. It says it's time to give in to what you love and make it a larger part of your life. That, I think, has a lot to do with, you know, our younger years when we fall in love with new subjects, new things, you know, whatever the case may be. You may have been held back for quite a while, though. And some of you may still be within this situation. And that makes me think that celebration in this case is your advice on how to effectively move into that feeling of eternal youth. But I immediately think of the things that I used to love before I was tainted by other people and situations of life, basically, right? So, celebration, it says, to those who are enduring difficult times where there seems little hope of change, the message of this card beckons you to actively seek joy and celebration regardless of circumstances. You will be forever wealthy if you can learn to celebrate the simplest things in life. So the minute that you start doing that, you are breaking away from what has been holding you back from feeling youthful again. Now, Anger and Chains. First of all, let me read the curse from Eternal Youth so you can understand where I'm coming from. It says, tired, feeling worn and old, feeling devalued by a society which reveres youthful appearances, wondering where your youth has gone, regrets about your younger years, depleted energy. And I think that that's where the anger finally comes in, because it's almost like a realization that something outside of you has been causing you to go inward and start feeling this way. And once that connection is made, it's like, then I don't need that outside thing anymore. But the anger that's built up here, I think that some of you are realizing that by breaking away from either, you know, a relationship, a work, whatever the case may be, whatever it is that you're breaking away from, the anger that comes along with that is also going to affect other areas. So it's like if you're angry at one person, it's not going to just affect them. There are other people that are going to be like collateral damage in what happens. So the quote for this says, force channeled outside, unreasonable, undirected, but powerful. The sentence says, I have to break free. I want to be free. But what I love about this is how it describes how this comes out when you've been chained down for too long. First of all, it says, anger is not the road to clarity. It is not a controlled effort or a cold dish. It is raw, primal, and explosive. It is the loss of reason and the loss of restraint. But then it goes on to say, when you need to break free, you need to shake and shout, and more things will be broken than just what you want to hurt. They are like a bundle. You can target, but you cannot choose. Break many to break one. Save one to save many. There's so much nuance in this, but I think that the most important thing here is to remember to celebrate your life. And to celebrate the things that you have loved in your youth. Because by bringing that back, you're bringing back a connection that's already been made in the subconscious mind. And the more that you can do this, the more, things you will have to celebrate. But it's interesting to me how anger and chains is connected with that curse, because to me it immediately says that whatever you're dealing with has been holding you down to the point where you don't feel like that youthful part of you could ever be returned. But the programming is already there, right? I hope that makes sense. And this is why I think that, what they were talking about with celebration is really important, right? Start simple and then go big. But then with anger and chains, like I said, right? Like, whoever it is that you're angry at, it's inevitably going to affect others that are also involved that may not be intentional. But I think that for some of you, considering the fact that being chained down with it made you feel worn out, I think that you're willing to accept that that's a possibility. So it's almost like if you go through, a separation or a breakup, there may be, other relatives involved that are, you're inevitably going to have to separate from because of the feeling of being worn out and held down. Now, obviously, that's not going to be for all of you. For others of you, it's just you're tired of being chained down by things that are preventing you from experiencing the joy of life. And you're done being worn out by these things. Oh boy. All right. So your overall, the 10 of Cups, happily ever after. What does that look like to you? But this is long-term happiness. That's what all of this is about. And I love that this is the focus, especially with the Oracle cards, right? But we'll see how this is all playing out. But the fact that this is the overall energy, regardless of, what is disrupting your happily ever after, we're still talking about the focus being on that. So, it's more about focusing on what needs to happen in order for you to experience this. Oh my God. In the past, death, right? We're done. It's over with. Whatever happened, it's over with now, and it caused a huge transformation that some of you may still be going through right now. But even seeing that with the 10 of Cups, I'm like, yes, right? The old has to die. It has to die in order for there to be that transformation. And Sagittarius immediately came to mind when we were talking about youthful free spirit and optimism. That's not Scorpio. Sagittarius in the present. So despite the fact that you may still be going through, the death process of something, and then going through the transformation, it's you still staying in balance regardless of, how disruptive the death process can be, right? But patience and moderation, especially when it comes to your emotional responses to what's going on. Now, some of you may be right now in the present moment realizing that whatever you're dealing with, it's over for you, but something has to change. And you may still be patiently waiting for that change, but then, how How patient can you continue to be in a situation that is holding you down, right? And I say that because of the oracle cards, but we'll see here. Oh my God. The Six of Cups. Okay. So, and I'm looking at the progression here, and what I feel like in the present moment is that you may still be involved with a person, a situation, whatever the case may be in the past, right? You're still involved with it, even though for you it's dead, it's done, it's over. Meanwhile, there is internal transformation that is definitely going on, but you're reserving yourself from acting in the present moment. But what I worry about is, you know, how much your patience is being tested because you come in with death. But the Six of Cups, here's the thing. Usually what I warn with this is that whatever you're focused on in the past, you're going to bring it into the present moment. But if we're looking at the Ten of Cups, then yes, that's where you need to be focused on, right? Past, you know, good emotions that you have surrounding what your happily ever after looks like. Now, for some of you though, while you know you're being reserved and you're not quick to take any action here with Temperance, there is the potential for you to move into a place where you're clouded by false happy memories of the past, which is why we say the rose-tinted or rose-colored glasses. There are times where we have a tendency to go back to the past and look at it fondly, but completely forgetting, you know, all of the difficulty that's surrounding that, especially with death coming in. Now, for others of you, because the situation is over with, it may have freed up that space, again, going back to eternal youth, where you can go back to those more, you know, pure emotions and happy memories from the past, and that being a part of what creates your happily ever after. Now, absolutely, this could be about a person coming back from the past once you have ended a situation, but you're not initiating this because you're Temperance right now. But we'll see how the Six of Cups is playing out here. I feel hopeful, which is interesting because of the Ten of Cups being the overall, and the fact that you come in with your own energy, realizing that something has to change. But you're not forcing anything, which is good, but you're still being, you know, patient while things kind of like work themselves out. And some of you may be reconnecting to a past. Oh my God. The Four of Cups is your best path to follow. And here's the thing, right? If the past is coming back, whether this is a past person, past connection that you look at and you have some happy memories surrounding, but it blocks out anything, you know, that prevented it from becoming the long term that, you know, you probably initially thought it was going to be. This is where, you know, you need to remember those times where there was, you know, the new beginnings that were constantly happening here, because I'm looking at the Four of Cups, right? And all of the cups, and they're all the same, but they all present themselves as the Ace of Cups. And there's still that one ace that's coming through. But what is that going to be different than what you have already experienced right now? A lot of times we could be talking about disinterest, you know, I'm not really interested in this anymore. And, you know, despite the fact that you may have some happy memories with a past connection, I do think that there's a part of you that needs to remember that there's a reason why this is past now becoming future. Now, it could be, though, that there is some potential here for a past situation to come back through and it eventually leading to your Ten of Cups. It just depends on how you're looking at this, right? But death from the past, right, it's over. And with the Four of Cups, remember all of the times that you sat within yourself and have felt bad about this situation. And I say that because of death coming through. Like, don't forget the fact that you were looking at this like it wasn't fulfilling. Especially if, there's two ways that I'm looking at this. A transformation is leading to something from the past coming through, or the death of this is still playing itself out because of you being Temperance in the present moment. But there needs to be an understanding that even if a new opportunity is presented with this, that there's still the potential here that it's going to be just like how it was before that led to the death moment in the first place. Wow, man, there's a lot of nuance in this. In your environment, the Knight of Pentacles, right? So when you go through a definite ending with death that changes who you are, typically there is going to be a part of you that's thinking about the road ahead. Some of you may be realizing that it's going to be quite, the journey to get to where you want to be. But you're not in any rush to do anything here. Now, for others of you, this may be something outside of you or someone who is dragging ass. And things just aren't, moving forward. And for you, you may resign this to something that will forever stay in the past. And it was over with before. Nothing has really changed. But as far as you go, like, I'm looking at you, and what I feel like here is that your definition of your happily ever after is going to have to change. Especially when it comes to a connection that you have with someone. Now, absolutely, right, a reconnection could be made here and it ends up becoming something that you want to be long-term. But is it accurately reflecting your vision of the happily ever after? Or are you just being presented with the same thing that you have been before? But regardless here, it's like there's nothing quick happening here, which I think is good for you. And I think despite the fact that, something may show up, that you're going to stay a little bit more reserved about taking any action toward it. Because for you, there may be other things, that you're looking at in terms of your future rather than, being in a relationship or, getting married or whatever the case may be. I kind of like it. Like, I kind of like it. It to me almost feels like that's great and all that this kind of pops up, but I just kind of want to stay on my path because I'm tired of accepting offers that are less than what I expect to be the happily ever after for me. Oh yeah, there's your eternal youth, the sun, your hopes and fears. And I'm looking at, right? Like there's this connection that is happening. And for some of you, I think that because you're able to kind of reach back into the past and more clearly, see the vision of your happily ever after, I think that, it's because of that you have this new energy kind of coming to you, which may open the door for something different to come through. That may be a better reflection. But if this has anything to do with death coming in, no, it's over, right? But this is happiness, this is joy, this is where the celebration of life takes place. And I do think that for a lot of you, you're just wanting to be done with everything that was involved in the past that came to an end. But I love that the sun is there, especially with Temperance. It's like To me, it feels like, yeah, the past may be revisiting you in regards to this for sure. But it's like, you know that there is something so much more, happy and joyful for you, rather than continuing to accept offers from a situation that never went anywhere in the first place. Oh my God. The moon. The moon. And this is what I'm talking about. If this has anything to do with the past, it's a no. Because it's not what it appears to be. And then not only that, but it's something about this that is reflecting back to you the fears that have already been a part of why this came to an end in the first place, right? So you've got you've got Sag, you've got Pisces showing up. The sun would be Leo, right? Oh my God, you got to be shitting me. The Tower. Yeah, the Lovers. Some more Scorp and some more Gemini. And then the Two of Swords. All right. Or I shouldn't say more Gemini, but more mutable energy is what I was thinking. So the Tower, oh man, and Death. What I feel like is happening here is that your happily ever after is almost like on the line. If you continue to stay connected to a past situation that couldn't hold up, it couldn't stand the test of time, right? It had to come down. And for some of you, this was something abrupt that may have brought the House of Cards down, right? It's definitely over with for you. But you're remaining patient in the present moment. And with the Lovers, I do think that this is going to have to do with a relationship for some of you. A really strong connection that you may have had with somebody, where absolutely there could be happy memories in the past, but that connection has been lost due to this. That's gone. And with the Moon, some of you may feel like you're being a little bit too, like confused about how you felt when the Tower fell down. And maybe you're questioning your own judgment, but I go back to the Four of Cups. No, because the other thing with this is that your fears that you've already been through are coming back up. Why would you want to accept another, offer from this and have to go through this whole thing all over again, right? But the Lovers, right, it's the choices that you make in love. It's following your heart and not following temptation. And for some of you, that temptation may be an emotional attachment that you have to something that's no longer there, like it's gone. But I feel you heavily questioning your own emotions surrounding this, because there was the potential, I think, for the long term. But this, I think, it's different. It's different for you. I'm looking at you, and I'm looking at you not being quick to do anything here, which is good. And if, these things that are in the dark that start to pop back up come into light, right? Like all of those fears that you had connected with the situation start to come up. That's where, you kind of stop. Just stop for a minute. Because I'm telling you, I'm looking at this and I'm going, no. And with the Two of Swords, right? I mean, there are things that you cannot ignore, I think, in this situation. And if you continue to try to blind yourself from the things that are being revealed to you in the subconscious mind in regards to fears that are directly connected to the collapse and the death of a situation, right? You will end up staying complacent, and you don't want to do that. And for some of you, this is about needing to make the hard choice, despite the fact that in the past, there may have been a really beautiful connection. it's not there anymore. And why would you want to rebuild a tower to just have it fall apart, right? Like I keep going back to that, and I'm looking at this Four of Cups and I'm like, no, right? You're wanting new life, new energy. And for you, the path is clear. It may be slow going at the moment, but the path to your absolute emotional fulfillment has nothing to do with this situation, whether this is something from a past that isn't connected to this or whether it is. Either way, because of the moon, this is not the path that you should be following for those of you who are looking at this in terms of a relationship where there was a tower moment and a death happening within you that made you feel like, no, this is definitely over. It can't go back to how it was because you can't forget what you went through. Not only that, but how many times have you done this? And that's immediately my question here. It's funny because it's not the wheel, but it very much feels like too many of these new beginning offers have been accepted by you and nothing changed. I hope that made sense for those of you who are questioning on whether or not you should give something another try. Because again, right, I'm looking at the illusion of the good things that there were, but because of the tower and death, they're not there anymore. Union with yourself, I think, is going to be the most important thing. It doesn't have to be in a connection with another person. Now, for others of you, yeah, this could be working things out in a relationship and looking at, where you have been kind of like self-loathing. But I can't, with the tower and death and the Two of Swords, there's something about it immediately that says to me, like, you realize that this is a decision that I don't think that you want to make. But the other choice here is to do something to cut away from the disillusionment of the moon. Wow. Okay. Man, this one is detailed. And there are a lot of different feelings, right, that I get from it, looking at it from the traditional view. But there's a deep-seated feeling sometimes with these readings where I'm like, I can't ignore that that's what I'm feeling looking at it, right? And again, not for everybody. Nobody's going to share the same perspective that I do. The best that I can do is try to explain the depth of the emotion that's surrounding what I'm looking at. And I'm telling you, anything having to do with the past showing up in your near future, hell no. No. There's a reason why the moon is popping up. We need to shed some light on these things, because you may have been ignoring them and pushing them into the background, or you may feel like that's something that you're going to have to do in order for this to go anywhere. And I go back to you just not being interested in this version of your happily ever after. Energy, yeah. Oh. The throat chakra, okay. I have to laugh because when you think about a Scorpio starting to get a bunch of energy centered in the throat chakra, somebody's going to get hurt. And new growth. Perfect. This is where I think energy comes into the throat chakra to speak clarity to, the things that have been lurking in the dark. Right? And when you're able to speak your reality, then the energy can transform into that new growth and a new beginning for you, right? New life, new energy, the sun. But whatever this is, it ain't it. It ain't it. Look. Luck is on your side. New moon and Sag. Meditate and contemplate. New moon in Pisces, Sag and Pisces energy, right? Combined with yours, that's like a powerhouse going on, despite the fact that, you know, the moon is illusion, it's the fears, it's the projections. Things are not what they appear to be. You still have this patience and balance with temperance, and you realizing that there are things from the past that have to come to an end. You know, in as far as like, especially long-term relationships, those issues can be hard. There are some people that are able to pull through things that, you know, had the potential to completely collapse everything. But in this case, I would say with the sun being there and looking at your advice with the Four of Cups, there are much better things ahead for you than a repeat of this. All right, I'm going to leave it there. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you again soon.